Greetings, fellow readers. This is Rambling Collector, back here with another manga ramble for all of you today. And this one is going to be special. This one by far has been one of my personal favorite manga series, as a fan of action films, but also cyberpunk. Today we will be talking about the manga series No Gun's Life by Tasuku Karasuma. And I apologize if I butchered that name. But, let's get started. So to begin, No Gun's Life has by far been one of my favorite cyberpunk series, second only to Shiro Masamune's Ghost in the Shell. Now, I won't lie to you guys. This series, which contains only about 13 volumes, was very well done in my opinion, not just with its artwork and its unique story, but also the action sequences. See, unlike Ghost in the Shell, which had a more philosophical mind to it, combined with murder mystery and detective work, No Gun's Life has something similar to that, but it also mixes it up with a great amount of action and explosions, the equivalent of a Michael Bay film. And I must say, it does it very well, with greatly drawn illustrations both in motion as well as standing still, and even having the occasional two-page spread, which ultimately was a beauty to look at. Not to mention, also, Juzo's backstory himself as a former war veteran turned investigator for crimes or mysteries involving the Extended, aka people with major cybernetic enhancements, is fascinating. As well as it kept me on my toes from start to finish, as his arc, his whole backstory and character as a war veteran, played out throughout the entire arc and came to a head multiple times. Not only that, but his closest sidekicks, Mary and of course Tetsuo, also had their own unique arcs as well, with some major family drama. Especially in Volume 4, with Mary's brother running around essentially killing people, but yet also not, because apparently it was a split mind thing. Yeah, and that brings me to one of my biggest complaints with the series, is that sometimes it could make sense, other times it kept giving me a head spin, wondering, okay, who's the good guy, who's the bad guy? But overall, the overarching bad guy was of course the mega corporation Baruden, and their manufacturing of extended parts, yet also holding the entire city that Juzo lives in under an iron grip. Note to self, guys, mega corporations are not good governors for cities. But I especially like how this one also tackles the same issue with all cyberpunk series. How far can someone go before they utterly lose their humanity? Like, just how far can you turn yourself into living metal and yet still consider yourself human? And I must say, despite the confusions of sometimes how random characters would pop up either serving Baruden or not, I must say, this series had me hooked from start to finish, mostly wanting to see Juzo, Mary, and Tetsuo make it out alive in their little found family and just survive to the next day, because throughout each volume they go through a lot in both physical, mental, just pain, and quite frankly, a lot of twists and turns and surprises that kept them on their toes, with Tetsuo himself having a unique ability called Harmony, which allowed him to actually control the various Extended. And this was actually a very unique ability that Tetsuo himself, as well as certain others within his family, had the ability to do, or I should say it was ingrained into them via surgery, which, yes, it is very messed up. This world does not hesitate with some of the dark moralities of it, where people sometimes view the Extended as simple property, which is a very dark thing to think about, and it's also a very messed up theme in all things considered. But once again, No Gun's Life, very well done. But more than that, I just want to gush about the art style here for a bit. So like I said in the previous slide, the art style is amazing, both in motion and just standing still, especially when it comes to character profiles, as shown with these two, but especially Juzo right here in the middle. I mean, come on! It's no wonder that Studio Madhouse was put in charge of making the anime adaptation for this series. Can you think of any other animation studio that can adapt a manga that is this high quality in artwork alone? I mean, just look at this. The sheer detail with some of the cybernetic prosthetics, the action sequences are really well done. The character profiles also making them look big and intimidating and just all around terrifying at times. I must say this. Tasuku Karasuma is a fantastic writer and artist, especially when he brings this manga to life, and I loved every second of it. I mean, yeah, just take a look at it. Okay, I think I've gushed a bit long enough. Let's talk about some random thoughts here. So, random thoughts here. In my personal opinion, my favorite character was definitely Juzo. I know that's kind of cliche to have the main character as your favorite, but hear me out as to why. It was his backstory that was interesting, how he was connected to so many different people due to the fact that he was a former war veteran. He had a connection to Mary through Mary's brother, whom he had promised to protect her for her brother. As well as with Tetsuo, it was the simple fact that Tetsuo was a client. But more than that, all the people that he knows. It's fascinating to see how he has this whole network of people that know him personally and some of his history. But more than that, again, him as a war veteran, and more than that, a literal walking weapon of mass destruction as a gunslave unit. And if you all don't know what I mean, refer back to the art style and look in the middle frame there where you see Juzo powered up. Yeah, Juzo is the equivalent of a walking weapon of mass destruction and is someone you do not want to anger. But besides the great action and the great kind of mystery of it all, one of the things I definitely enjoyed was the comedy in No Gun's life. And I gotta say, it was definitely unexpected at times whenever the comedy would appear. But more than that, it was also a nice little break from all of it. It helped No Gun's life not be as super serious. It kind of reminds me of Ghost in the Shell's manga, which is surprising, because you'd think it would be a much more serious manga, and it can be at times, but there are moments sprinkled throughout both manga series where it's just full-blown comedy. And I must say, it's honestly fun to just read those little bits where it's just comedic effect and just think, wow, that is a great little breather. But more than that, again, the action, amazing. I especially love whenever the two-page spreads pop up in any sort of manga, because then you know the artist needed at least 2 pages just to be able to get that whole image across, and it is beautiful. But, once again, my only major complaint was once again having characters that pop up out of nowhere and you wonder whose side are they on, who are they working for? Are they working for Barurin? Are they free agents? Who knows? Are they double agents? Again, we don't know. But Barurin seems to have its fingers in so many pies that you wonder just who's working for them. Who is working as an asset to them? Who's working as an agent? You don't know. And that's one of the biggest, I guess, pulls of No Gun's life. The suspense of knowing who is running this whole thing. Just how far the corporate has their fingers into the government, into the city itself. But like I said again, the many twists and turns really sometimes gave me a bit of a headache, especially when they just came up out of nowhere. But that by far would be my only complaint with the series, overall. 13 volumes of excellence, that is my only complaint. And I think I've rambled enough. Let's move on to the final score. So, all in all, as the entire series overview, I would have to give No Gun's Life a solid 8 out of 10. In just 13 short volumes, which are jam-packed with so much story and detail, I feel like this is definitely a must-read for anyone who's a big fan for action manga, or anyone who's in the mood for a good cyberpunk series. All in all, go check it out and give it a shot. Tasuku Karasuma is a fantastic writer and artist. And again, I look forward to seeing whatever series he ever makes next. And if you guys would want to check out more of my manga or light novel rambles, feel free to click the link to that playlist right here as well. Or, if you're interested in seeing some of the other books that I have covered, feel free to click the link to that playlist as well. You might be surprised by what I've covered. Anyways, you guys, thank you once again for listening to this crazy man's ramblings. It's an honor that you all decide to stick around as long as you have. And if you have any suggestions for any future manga reviews you want me to do, feel free to let me know your thoughts about that in the comments down below. Once again, thank you all for listening. This is Rambling Collector, signing off for now. Keep reading, fellow readers.